It's the astrophysical equivalent of a dart hitting a moving fly while both are riding bicycles. But reality has a sense of irony. After the crash, Anne wasn't showered in money, she was buried in lawsuits. Her landlord claimed ownership of the meteorite since it fell on her property. The Air Force confiscated it temporarily for study. The media circus turned her into a reluctant celebrity. She grew ill from the stress her marriage frayed, and she eventually donated the rock to a museum calling it cursed. Scientists later analyzed it about 4.5 billion years old, older than Earth's first life. A relic from the dawn of the solar system that ended its journey in a living room. Here's the perspective twist: every day, roughly 100 tons of cosmic dust falls onto Earth. Meteorites just rarely survive atmospheric entry. Anne's bruise wasn't bad luck. It was a reminder of just how much doesn't hit us. Our atmosphere is the planet's greatest security system. Without it, Earth would look like the moon, pockmarked by billions of Anne-sized accidents. And now, from the skies back to the ground, where lightning apparently holds grudges that outlast death itself. Major Walter Summerford was a British officer in World War I who met lightning 4 times 3 alive once underground. His first strike in 1918 paralyzed him from the waist down. 6 years later in Canada, a bolt hit the tree he rested against, paralyzing half his body. Against all odds, he recovered. 6 years later, he was struck again while walking through a park, this time permanently disabled. He died in 1932, finally free of the weather's wrath. Or so it seemed. 4 years later, lightning struck his gravestone, shattering it. Coincidence? Probably, but deliciously eerie. The physics again are simple. Cemeteries often have tall, conductive objects, including iron fences and wet headstones, perfect lightning paths. The poetry is what humans add the need to believe the storm had unfinished business. We're storytellers trapped in probability fields, and sometimes the numbers sound like gods. Modern lightning researchers at the University of Florida estimate about 1.2 billion bolts strike Earth each year. With that many throws of the cosmic dart, strange repetitions are bound to happen. What stands out isn't that Walter was hit multiple times. It's that we noticed and remembered. He became a symbol of unfinished vengeance between man and sky. Physics just called it business as usual. So what ties together Frane's explosions, Anne's meteorite, and Walter's ghostly encore? They're all reminders that randomness isn't chaos. It's structure too complex for our storytelling brains to compute. Behind every impossible event lies a web of conditions: exposure, geography, timing, material behavior. Once you know those, the miracle becomes data. Still breathtaking, still humbling, but data. And if you think that's where the universe runs out of material, don't worry. It's got plenty more. Because next we meet a man who was bitten by a shark, struck by lightning, bitten by a snake, and attacked by monkeys, and still insists he's lucky. Then we'll end with a man who missed the biggest lottery win in history, not because of numbers, but because the ticket seller skipped his house. And maybe by the end, you'll see that luck isn't something you have or don't. It's something you notice. Some people go camping to reconnect with nature. Eric Nory goes camping and ends up in a fistfight with it. A Floridian through and through, Eric might just be the unofficial mascot of bad luck gone biological. A shark, a lightning bolt, a rattlesnake, and even a gang of monkeys have all tried to take a piece of him, and all failed. His saga begins like a nature documentary gone rogue. As a teenager, Eric was in a Florida field when lightning struck a nearby tree. Electricity travels easily through damp ground, and the human body, being 60% water, is a decent conductor. The charge arced into him, throwing him through the air. He survived with burns, earning his first strike against the forces of nature. Fast forward to 2013. Eric was spearfishing in the Bahamas, aiming for a grouper. Enter predator number 2, a Caribbean reef shark. It decided that Eric's leg looked tastier than the fish. He fought back underwater and won barely. He was airlifted to Miami with a chunk of his calf missing and a scar shaped like a crescent moon. Most people would stop there, but not Eric. A few years later, while taking out the trash, a rattlesnake bit him. The bite came from an eastern diamondback, one of the most venomous snakes in North America. He received anti-venom in time and survived again. Then on a family trip, the monkeys came literally. A troop of aggressive monkeys attacked him near his in-laws' home. At this point, nature wasn't just testing him, it was holding auditions for a documentary called Why Eric Can't Have Nice Things. Now, the science behind his streak, this isn't magic, it's math. Florida has the highest rate of lightning strikes in the US, a coastline swarming with sharks, a dense population of venomous snakes, and yes, imported invasive monkey species. Add a lifestyle that includes fishing, hiking, and exploring, and you've got exposure through the roof. Statistically, Eric didn't attract nature's wrath. He just kept showing up in nature's favorite danger zones. Still, his perspective is remarkable. He says I'm not unlucky. I'm proof you can survive anything. He's right in a way. Survival bias teaches us that we only hear from the people who don't die. The unlucky perish, the lucky tell the story. And Eric He's telling it with bite marks. Now meet Jean Rogers, a woman who didn't need nature's help to court disaster. The universe was happy to assist her all on its own. Jean was struck by lightning, twice mugged, hit by a runaway truck, and broke both hips on separate occasions. One of them during an interview about her bad luck. She began life as the kind of person who just seemed to attract chaos. A bat got tangled in her hair as a child. She fell down a ship's hold as a teen and somehow survived. Lightning first got her on a boat she was holding a metal pole. The second time, she was just trying to close a window during a storm. Her husband and son were struck by lightning too. All survived. By this point, you'd half expect the family dog to start wearing rubber boots. Her home was hit by a runaway truck. She slipped on a waxed floor and shattered a hip. Then she broke the other one tripping over a TV cable on camera. At some point, probability starts looking like parody. But Jean didn't crumble. She wrote a book, The God Who Fell from Heaven, exploring faith, pain, and irony. Psychologists later cited her as a case study in learned optimism, the ability to laugh through repeated trauma without descending into fatalism. Her story became a strange lesson in resilience. In risk science, Jean's life illustrates accumulated exposure. The idea that even small probabilities pile up if you live long enough and do enough things. Most people only roll the dice a few thousand times. Jean rolled them every day and kept getting snake eyes. Across the Atlantic, one man in Cornwall seemed to live a similar sitcom. John Lyne, nicknamed Calamity John, turned mishap into a lifestyle. His childhood included 3 separate arm breaks, the same arm each time. As an adult, he fell down a manhole, was struck by lightning, bitten by a weasel, crashed 3 cars in 1 year, and once got his dentures stuck in his throat while eating a pickled onion. He was in short Britain's answer to slapstick destiny. The scientific term for this isn't curse, it's compounded probability plus behavior. The more you expose yourself to everyday risks, the more the universe has chances to collect data on you. What made John exceptional wasn't the physics, it was the persistence. After every injury, he got back up. His medical file could have filled a novel, but his outlook stayed weirdly sunny. He told reporters, if I stopped moving, I'd probably be fine. But then I'd be bored to death. Researchers at Cambridge later used similar real-world cases to model human error, clustering the phenomenon where certain individuals appear to attract accidents due to personality traits like impulsivity, curiosity, or distraction. John Lyne wasn't cursed, he was curious, and curiosity breaks bones. And finally, for a quieter kind of cruelty, meet the man luck literally forgot. Kostas Mitsotakis lived in a tiny Spanish village called Sodeto, a town so small it barely appears on Google Maps. Every Christmas, the whole village pooled money to buy a single number in Spain's national lottery, El Gordo. In 2011, that number hit $100 million in winnings spread across 70 households. Except Kostas. He was the only person the ticket sellers forgot to visit. He didn't lose, he simply wasn't asked to play. While his neighbours popped champagne, paid off mortgages, and bought tractors, Kostas sat in the one house where no one knocked. Journalists later interviewed him as the unluckiest man in Spain. He told The Guardian, "It's not about the money. It's about the silence when everyone else is celebrating." But even this story has a twist. The attention led to film offers. His property value skyrocketed. Years later, when asked again, he smiled and said, "Maybe it was better this way. Everyone else had money problems." It's a perfect human paradox. Luck is only luck after we decide what it means. The hidden thread. From Eric's scars to Kostas's quiet porch, these stories orbit one truth: we are pattern-seeking creatures trapped in a probabilistic universe. We crave meaning where mathematics only offers odds. Yet it's this craving, this insistence that events must mean something that makes us human. Lightning doesn't judge, meteors don't aim, and lotteries don't skip doors out of spite. But the fact that we tell these stories, that we keep asking why me instead of how, reveals something beautiful. Curiosity survives even when reason falters. And maybe that's the luckiest thing of all. Next up, we'll zoom out to the reflection, the recap, and the bigger question hiding under all these bizarre coincidences. Why does our universe, so vast and neutral, still feel like it has a personality? We began with lightning and ended with silence, with bolts, bombs, bears, and lotteries. But the through line isn't tragedy. It's improbability. Let's rewind. Roy Sullivan, the man who the sky couldn't seem to quit, taught us about exposure. How physics doesn't play favorites. It just follows paths of least resistance. Violet Jessup, The woman who served on 3 doomed ships showed us how training and composure turned survival into something more than luck. Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the man who saw 2 suns rise, embodied the quiet endurance of the human spirit when the unthinkable happens twice. Frane Salic, the Croatian conductor of Catastrophe, proved that randomness can rhyme. His 7 brushes with death and a lottery win to top them off were less divine punishment than statistical poetry. Anne Hodges, the woman literally struck by a star, reminded us that the cosmos is both intimate and indifferent, that even a billion-year-old rock can rewrite an ordinary life. Eric Nory's scars turned nature's wrath into testimony. Gene Rogers and John Lyne gave humour to hardship, their misadventures a living diagram of how persistence is its own kind of protection. And then, quietly, Kostas Mitsotakis, the man who luck forgot, showed us the soft edge of misfortune, the loneliness of being left out while the world celebrates. Across these stories, one truth crystallizes: the universe doesn't have favorites. But we do. We favor meaning over math, pattern over probability, story over statistics. That's not weakness, it's how our brains make chaos livable. When scientists at MIT simulate randomness, say, by dropping 1 million digital dice, they find something fascinating: patterns still emerge. Clusters form, streaks appear, and our minds light up. We see faces in clouds, constellations in stars, and curses in lightning. But behind it all is a simple truth. What looks personal is often just physics behaving beautifully. And yet, there's another layer. Each survivor, each anomaly shows us something more profound than coincidence: the resilience that defines our species. The will to crawl out of rubble, swim out of wrecks, climb from crash sites, and keep asking why instead of why me. That's the bridge between science and soul curiosity. Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries. Epicurus said the gods don't meddle in human affairs. Marcus Aurelius said randomness is simply nature expressing itself. Modern physics agrees the laws don't bend for emotion. But meaning isn't in the lightning. It's in the telling, in how humans turn chance into narrative, narrative into wisdom. Look at these people again through that lens. Roy wasn't cursed, he was empirical evidence in motion. Violet wasn't haunted, she was proof that poise can outswim panic. Yamaguchi wasn't doomed, he became a witness for peace. Frane wasn't comic relief, he was the embodiment of endurance. Anne wasn't chosen, she was a reminder of cosmic scale. Kostas wasn't forgotten, he was living proof that luck's shadow can still have light. Maybe that's what luck really is: a lens, not a law. From a scientific perspective, all of these events are explainable, if improbable. But explanation doesn't drain the wonder, it deepens it. Knowing that lightning forms from charge separation doesn't make the flash less beautiful. Understanding meteorite trajectories doesn't make the cosmos less mysterious. If anything, it shows us that awe and analysis can share the same room. So the next time something strange happens, the parking spot that opens right in front of you, the storm that just misses your street, the coincidence that feels too neat to be random, don't just say it's fate or it's luck. Ask why it feels that way. Because in that moment, you're standing at the intersection of probability and poetry, the very spot where science and storytelling meet. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the beauty of science isn't in having all the answers, but in asking better questions. Which of these stories amazed you the most? Was it the man who survived 2 atomic bombs, the woman who rode 3 sinking ships, or the ranger who fought lightning and bears? Tell me below, and if you love learning how weird, wonderful, and deeply improbable our universe truly is, make sure to subscribe. Because the next mystery might not fall from the sky, but it's definitely out there waiting to be explained. If you enjoyed this journey through improbable lives and the science behind them, hit that like button, share it with a friend who loves weird history, and stay curious. Because sometimes the only thing stranger than fiction is physics.